These people are making over $700,000 selling on Etsy only using AI, while these sellers are making well into the millions of dollars listing their products on Etsy using Printify. And in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to do the exact same thing. Now, if you're expecting this to be a hyper edited 4-minute goldfish retention styled video, that is not what you're going to be seeing, so I'd recommend just leaving now. Instead, this is going to be a step-by-step tutorial where I literally set up my very own products along with you guys. So I won't just be talking about how to do it, I'll actually be showing you every single step I would take within the process. We'll be covering how to pick the correct products, how to check for copyright infringement or trademarks, how to use AI to create custom designs, how to use AI to create mockups, how to build your listing on Printify, and a whole bunch more. I'll have bookmarks down below so you can skip ahead to certain areas that you already know how to do, but I do highly suggest you guys watch the full thing through, as I'll be dropping hints and tips throughout the entire guide. But enough chit-chatting, let's get right into the tutorial. Alrighty, let's get started. The first thing you obviously want to do when you get started in this type of business is you need to have a plan going into it. So we kind of have to decide what we're going to be designing and what we're going to be selling. In this tutorial, we're just going to be doing designs on a t-shirt, which is by far, in my opinion, one of the easiest. And if you are a beginner, I definitely recommend starting with this, and then later down the line, if you want to go into different areas of clothing or just completely different items like mugs in this example right here, you definitely can do that. Now, once you find the article of clothing you'll be going with, in this use case, it's going to be a t-shirt. Next thing we want to do is divide that down even more. So we want to niche it out. So the niche I'm going to be going with is Halloween, as Halloween's coming up. It seems like the perfect time to create a Halloween styled product, as a lot of people are going to be looking for Halloween gifts. And if you actually look on Etsy right now, the first subheader they have is the Halloween shop. So they're literally promoting Halloween products. So it makes perfect sense to do this. So maybe if Christmas is coming up when you're watching this video, or Valentine's Day, doing a holiday styled design is always a fantastic idea. Now, if you want, on my Discord server, I'll have a list of a ton of ideas that you guys can take from. And these aren't just random ideas. They're some of the best performing ideas where you can make the most amount of money with the least amount of people doing it. And that'll be in my Discord server down below. But if you don't want to grab that list, you can always go to ChatGPT and ask something simple like, give me a list of ideas for designs to sell on Etsy revolved around and then your specific niche that you're targeting, and it will give you a list of different stuff that you can sell. Although I don't really think the ideas that ChatGPT gives you are the best for this specific use case. We're not going to be using any of their ideas today. Alrighty, so obviously looking at the screen, the niche we want to do is Halloween, and I kind of want to niche that even more. Not only do I want it to be Halloween, I want it to be a specific theme of Halloween. And what I was thinking was a Canadian styled Halloween shirt. If you don't know, a big thing with Etsy is that they try to pair you with sellers who are in your local region. So a lot of the sellers here, if I click on any of them, I'll just click on this random one right here, they're probably located in Canada. And as you can see, Ontario, Canada. Now this is just for like shipping reasons and a whole bunch of other reasons. They try and pair you with sellers located in your own country. And you can obviously change this region in the top right. So if I wanted to look at designs from the US or whatnot, I could do that. But most people, when they load up Etsy, they're not playing with these configurations. So having a design that relates to the country you're selling in along with the niche, I think is perfect. And it's exactly what we're going to be going with in today's video. Now, although I came up with my idea quite quick, I do recommend doing research into the products or designs that you want to emulate. Now, obviously you can't copy word for word an exact design. So let's say I liked this t-shirt right here. You can't copy this design to a T, but you definitely could make your own design that has a cat wearing a ghost costume. It just can't look exactly the same. Now, what I like to do to see if a product or a design is really good, I'll click on the product itself. So I just clicked on this Stay Spooky sweatshirt right here. As you can see, it has the bestseller badge, which means it had a very high sales volume over the past 6 months, meaning it's done consistently very well. As you can see, it even states it's in demand, with 4 people having bought that in the last 24 hours. And then what you can also check is when you go to sort by and go to most recent, you can see that people are buying this very recently. It's the 13th right here. Someone just bought it, the 11th, the 11th, the 11th. So we are getting very recent purchases of this product, meaning the design style is definitely in demand. Something cartoonish with a simple saying like stay spooky is going to perform very well. So I'm going to try and emulate similar designs to this today, as well as some other designs that I think might do well. Alrighty, the next thing we're going to check for is any type of trademark infringement or copyright. If you don't know, Etsy actually won't let you sell any type of product that has some type of copyrighted material within it. And if you somehow get away with uploading a copyrighted design, there's a chance you can get sued for it. So we obviously don't want any of that. And it's honestly really easy to avoid copyright infringement. Use your own designs. We'll be using AI today. And when it comes to sayings on designs, like for example, read more books with a bunch of O's, or dead inside but spiced, these slogans can actually be copyrighted as well. So let's say we wanted to use the dead inside but spiced text, but then with a completely different design. Well, what you want to do is go and check that on a trademark site. Now I'll have this linked down below. Keep in mind, this is only going to be if you're selling in the United States. I know that a good portion of my viewers are American, so I will leave this down below. Now this won't particularly help me because I'm going to be selling in Canada. I'll have to use a completely different website to look up trademarks within my country, but using a website like this is quite easy to do. Like I said, I'll have this website linked down below. Once you go onto the website, you can go to the basic word mark search, and then from there you just want to search the terms. So for example, let's search up this dead inside but spiced, and when I search this up, you won't be able to find anything. That's the reason this seller is able to sell this shirt on Etsy, because it's not trademarked. So when we submit a query for this, as you can see, no records were found. Now let's go back and we're going to type, I don't know, ice pumpkin spice, and I guarantee you this is trademarks. Let's submit a query, and as you guys can see, there's a whole bunch of different word marks that are trademarked. So pumpkin and spice, you had me at pumpkin spice, I run for pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkin and spice, pumpkin spice latte. And when you actually click on one of these, you can see the owner of the trademark and a whole bunch of other information. Now what's interesting about these trademarks is that some are trademark only for a particular item. So as you can see, when we clicked on this pumpkin spice latte trademark, it's actually only for bar soaps, so we may be able to use it for shirts. However, this is where the gray area happens, because some trademarks you can, some you can't, so you really do have to look into it. Additionally, you can check the registration number. If your trademark doesn't have a registration number, this means it's not currently registered, so you'll be in the clear for the time being. Additionally, if it's dead, which means the trademark is no longer, you should be in the clear. So for today's video, I know one of the sayings I want to have on the shirts is a play on words where it's like spooky, but instead of spooky, it's spook A, because we're making Canadian Halloween shirts. I think it's a pretty good idea. So let's submit this query and we are good to go. So the next step in this process is creating our actual design, which in my opinion is the most fun part. And you don't need to be a particularly creative person to do this. After doing your market research, you will know the correct designs that are working the best, and you can basically just take inspiration based on those designs and make your own. In today's video, I'll be showing you guys how you can make designs using AI, but I'll also show you guys Canva, where you can make your custom designs not using AI if you don't want to do that. So when you go to Canva, you just want to create a design, go to custom size, and make sure you're using a 5K by 5K custom size. I'll move my webcam so you can see, and this is just because you're going to get the highest resolution on the image that you create. It's very important to have a high resolution, because with a high resolution, it will look the best on a image that's printed on a t-shirt, sweater, whatever. If you have a really low resolution image that's printed on your sweater, when it gets enlarged, it's not going to look very good when it's finally printed, and you're going to get bad reviews because the image quality just isn't up to par. Now with Canva, you can do a ton of stuff like draw, upload your own things, put brand assets, text, elements, elements. If you're creative, there's so many things you can do, but if you're not creative, I highly suggest going the AI route. And what I like to use is Midjourney, but you could literally use any AI image generating program. I'll try and leave down below some free alternatives to Midjourney. However, in my opinion, I believe Midjourney to be the best image generation program. Off screen, I was doing a whole bunch of generations, and keep in mind, these ideas came to me in like 5 minutes. I really didn't put a whole lot of thought into them, but you can see the design process going from the start up here all the way to the bottom. So I was trying out a spooky Canadian themed t-shirt design. I really think any of these on a t-shirt could be really well. Then I was trying to get a cute like 2D beaver because that's the national animal of Canada. Really trying to get those Canadian themes, as well as this spooky maple leaf t-shirt design. I ended up going with this one right here as one of the designs. Then I was trying a moose. I kind of wanted it to be cartoon. I forgot to mention that in this image prompt, but we ended up getting a really cute moose. I believe I went with this one or one down below. And later down the line, I'm going to edit this image in Canva along with like maybe a Canadian maple leaf to complete our t-shirt design. But some really important aspects in my prompts here, I really wanted that white background just so it's much easier to crop out. I made sure to include in my prompt on a white background. Doing this makes it much easier to crop out your image so that it's transparent and there's nothing in the background, compared to using an image like one of these where there's a whole bunch of things going on in the background. So it's going to be a lot harder to crop out if we chose to do so. But along with the Canadian skull and the cute little moose icon, I tried one more thing, which was like a spooky poutine, which is the national food of Canada. And I was just thinking like we could do a pun that's like, instead of poutine, it's like boo-teen. I don't know. I was thinking of something silly, and I think this could work on a shirt. Keep in mind, I really only put like 5 minutes into these prompts. And it's all about trial and error. As you guys can see, even with like the poutine or the moose, I didn't get it right away, the exact image I was looking for. So I just made some adjustments to the prompts that I inputted. And finally, I landed on a piece that I really liked. And if you're really trying to take this serious to make money, I suggest putting a lot more effort into this portion of the video, creating actual good designs. I'm just trying to find things as fast as possible. And the next step is going to actually be removing that background. And you can use this website called remove.bg. I'll have that link down below. And it does a fantastic job of removing the backgrounds of your images. As you can see, flawless job done. Alternatively, you can use a paid program like Photoshop to do the exact same job. Alrighty, now I do understand that a lot of you guys aren't going to have Photoshop and are going to want to make adjustments to the designs that you generate in AI. So I'm going to go back over to Canva. I wouldn't normally use Canva, but I'm going to use it for the purpose of today's video because it's free and everyone can have access to it. I'm going to upload my image by going to image and then uploads here. And as you can see, we have our nice little PNG. Now we have this moose, which is a Canadian animal icon, and it's wearing this obvious ghost costume. Now we just need to add text, I believe, to this design, and I think it will look really well. But I'm struggling to think of any type of pun that goes with moose and Canadian and Halloween. So what we're going to do is go over to ChatGPT and have ChatGPT help us out. So as ChatGPT, can you help me come up with a funny slogan or saying that involves a pun with a moose wearing a ghost costume? The pun can be anything revolved around Halloween and a moose. And then I gave an example of kind of what I'm looking for. And then I said, give me 30 ideas. So let's see what they gave us. A mysteriously spooky Halloween, something like that. I mean, some of these are obviously bad, like Trick or Moose Treat, which is extremely dumb, but sometimes they hit it out of the park. You just kind of have to keep playing around with it. So I said, give me 30 more puns that are shorter and less cringe. Alrighty, so I have the slogan I'm going to run with. I'm just going to do the original, which is just spooky. Next thing we got to do is add some more elements to our design. I'm going to go to the elements tab and I'm going to search up a maple leaf. Now keep in mind, if you see a crown here, that means it's paid and you won't have access to it, but there should be enough elements for the free version of Canva. So we have this nice little maple leaf here, and I'm going to enlarge that and then center it. And then I'm going to arrange it to the back, so we can right click our maple leaf and then go to layer and then send it to the back, and that's going to send it to the back of our design. Alrighty, the next thing we're going to do is add some text in. They have some preset fonts here that you can look through, and maybe there's something that will work well in your design. Honestly, I think a lot of it just comes down to trial and error and playing around with your text to see what just looks best for you. Now, obviously, I could have made a way better design, but for the sake of this tutorial, we're just going to run with this design right here, and you can finish it off by going to the top right here and clicking share, and then you want to select download. And unfortunately, you can't download it as a transparent background, which is exactly what you want, but we are going to download anyways. And then what we'll have to do is take our newly downloaded design, go to remove background.bg, upload that design, and it should remove that white background for us. And as you guys can see, the white background is gone and we can re-download our image. Alrighty, now the last thing we want to do is actually create a mock-up for our design. So basically a model's t-shirt that the design is going to be shown on, as you can see from all these examples here, or we'll use some actual real examples. As you can see, they got a model that is wearing the shirt. Now there's a few different ways you can actually create your mock-ups, and the way I'll be showing you today is utilizing AI. However, if you don't want to use AI and you just want to purchase preset mock-ups, you can do that by looking up shirt mock-ups on Etsy. And as you guys can see, we have a whole bunch of different models that comes with the 20 colors that are utilized on Etsy. It's by far the easiest way to get your mock-up. However, if you want to go the free route, I'll show you how to do that in just a second here. So one of the reasons I like to use AI to make my mock-ups instead of using the preset shirt mock-ups, which you can buy, is because as you notice right here, we have two different companies or sellers. We have Haley's Trend Boutique, and then we have Ray Miles Designs, but you can see from the image that both of them are utilizing the exact same mock-up. It's very obvious the girl looks the exact same as the right image compared to the left image. Her hair is the same, she's got the same earrings, the background's the same. And the problem is when the mock-ups are the same, they all look identical, and you want your design to stand out. You want your mock-up to stand out. This really doesn't stand out to me. That's why I like to use AI, and we're going to be using Midjourney once again to generate our images or our mock-ups. So I just typed the prompt, close-up image of a girl wearing a white long sleeve sweater and jeans with a Halloween themed house in the background. Now basically, if you don't want to use any Photoshop whatsoever, you can just keep repeating this prompt with all the different colors until you get 10 to 20 mock-ups of models in different colors. Now the reason I like to use Photoshop and just change the color of the shirt is because I want consistency upon all my photos, but you don't have to have consistent photos. So here we got some really good models. Unfortunately, the shirts aren't plain, which is what we were going for. So I'm going to adjust my prompt once again. So I slightly adjusted my prompt, and hopefully we get a better generation with nothing on the shirt and a bit more Halloween themed, which is what I was going for. Obviously, you could always change that up later down the line in Photoshop or Canva. And once again, it seems to be putting the images on the shirt, which is not what I'm going for. However, this mock-up right here, I could easily Photoshop that image on the shirt out, but we'll try with one more prompt, and if we don't get it, I'll just use that image. Alrighty, so I tried one more time with a longer prompt, and we'll see how this prompt works out. Alrighty, awesome. So it just took a bit of prompt engineering, and now we have 3 perfect mock-ups that we can choose from. I like the first one probably the best. Her model pose looks the most normal. I don't know, this one kind of looks stiff, and this one, like the arms kind of just look interesting, and then this shirt just got messed up. So we're going to run with the first one. I'm going to upscale it, and then I'm going to do different variations just to see if we might get something that's very similar but slightly better. Alrighty, so we got our variations, and this one's really good too, but honestly, I'm just going to run with this one. There's really nothing wrong with it. And yeah, obviously, if you didn't choose to use Photoshop, the next step would be to just generate a similar image but change out the color, and this time we'll do black. And as you can see, now we get a girl wearing a plain
plain black shirt, I would run with this one right here. Next thing I'm going to do is alter my photo to make the shirt the centerpiece of the photo. So if you look at the previews on Etsy, the model isn't really that important. It's more so the shirt design. You actually don't really want to include that much of the model's face, if any. That's why I'm going to enlarge our mock-up photo so it just shows more of the shirt. And you can do this inside of Canva. It doesn't have to be Photoshop. You could easily just enlarge things like so. For example, I'm going to go to create new design. I'm going to upload our AI generated image, and then I'm just going to extend our mock-up to something like this. And then we can just add our shirt design. So I'm going to add the transparent file that we downloaded earlier, and then I'm going to add it onto our shirt. And as you guys can see, we have our spooky shirt design created on the mock-up. Now you can see that there's a slight angle that she is on, so I'd suggest making sure your picture is aligned with that angle. So now it's angled up. And then what you can also do is go and make sure the picture is clicked and go to the top here, and then you want to select the transparency, and you can make it a bit less transparent, but don't do too much so the colors aren't really altered, but this will make the photo blend a lot more into the shirt. The next thing we'll do is add another page, and here we're going to upload the mock-up of the other color of our long sleeve. For example, we have black now, and there we go. Another thing to keep in mind is that if your design has like black strokes, as you can see, the spook part of spooky is in black, and it doesn't really look that good on a black sweater. So maybe black isn't the best color to go with this design in particular. I'm not going to change it just because this is a tutorial, but that is something to keep in mind. Alrighty, with our two mockups, we can mass download both of them by just going to share at the top and then going and selecting download, and make sure all pages is selected so it downloads every page. And you should have two PNG mockups and you'll be ready to go for the next step, which is using Printify. Okay, so on Printify, you're going to want to make an account. I'll have a link down below, as well as all the other links in today's tutorial. So once you're signed into Printify, you just want to connect your Etsy store, and you can do this by going to Printify, then going to my new store, manage my stores, and then go to connect, and then you see Etsy here, connect to Etsy, and then sign into your Etsy account. If you don't already have an Etsy store, it's very easy to register. You just select sign in and then register, and then you can make your account. Now on Etsy, to finish building your shop, you can go to your account and there should be something to select that mentions opening a store. And then you'll be presented with a page like this that asks you to get started. It'll ask you some questions. You can just skip past some of these questions and then select start your shop. Obviously select the shop language you want it in. The country is going to be massive, and then the currency. I'm just going to call my shop the Canada Kingdom because my designs are going to be revolved around Canada. Now once you're on the listing part, you can just put in a bunch of BS information. It really doesn't matter because we're going to be adding our own information later on Printify. Alrighty, we have our BS listing done. Now we can select do this later, and it's going to ask how you're going to get paid. Obviously you want to enter in all of your information, like where you live, your name, yada yada yada. The next thing you'll need to set up is your billing. Alrighty, the last step would be to add 2FA to your shop, which I highly recommend doing. And I definitely recommend using an authenticator app because they're without a doubt the most secure. Alrighty, with your Etsy account fully created, the next thing you want to do is go back over to Printify and connect your Etsy account. And we're going to grant access to our Etsy account. With your store connected, the next thing you want to do is tap on the catalog icon on the side, and then you can select one of the articles of clothing that you're selling. In this case, it's going to be women's clothing and sweatshirts. And on this page, you'll see there's a whole bunch of different options you can choose from. And by ticking one of the boxes on the left side, it narrows down the options that you have or the different providers that can provide for you for your shop. Now, if you don't understand what a provider is, they're the people that take care of literally everything. All you have to worry about is creating the design, and they'll take care of everything on the back end, like processing the shirt, putting your design on the shirt, and ordering out the designs when you get an order, which is the main benefit of using Printify. Now, the only thing that I'm going to segment out is going to be Canada, just because I want to get providers from Canada, because usually it's cheaper, but that's not always the case. Sometimes getting a provider that's in the US is actually cheaper for whatever reason, but I'm going to get a provider from Canada because I know a lot of people like buying products that are made locally or made in the same country that they're being bought from, which is why I want my provider to be from Canada, especially because the product I'm selling is going to be Canadian themed. Is this one, which is Bella Canvas 3501. It's super popular, it has a decent amount of sizes, and the price that it costs to get them shipped out isn't that expensive comparing to a provider like Champion, for example, which is way more money. Alrighty, so with Duplium selected as our provider, we can go to start designing. And one thing I did want to mention before we go into that, you can actually select the provider information, and it shows a lot more information like the production, how they produce their shirts. It also showcases how much items are going to cost to be shipped, which is actually wild how a Canadian company, it costs more to ship in Canada than it does to the United States. Anywho, let's go to start designing. Now on this page, they actually have their own AI image generator. However, you can see that the images generated just aren't as good as other programs like Midjourney. So we're going to go to my device. From there, I'm going to upload our design. Now keep in mind, if you have a image that you want the full size of the shirt like so, make sure that your image has a high resolution. So as you can see, it currently states low resolution. This is because it's a lot smaller image. I think it was 500 by 500 at the end of the day. And this is because we used the remove background program. And whenever you use this program, it automatically converts your photos into 500 by 500. So do keep that in mind if you are making them transparent with this program. It is going to change the resolution drastically because I believe we started off in Canva with a 5000 by 5000 resolution. So because my design, I want it to be like a badge in the top left, it's okay if the image is very small as long as the resolution is medium or better. Now it's cool as you can go to colors and select the colors that you want. But let's say that, for example, in our graphic, the black sweater won't show the spook part of the spooky. And the way you can change this is actually going to make a specific design for black. And then from there, you could add your altered design in. So as you can see, we now have our black design, and then the white and asphalt colors have the original design, and then black is the only one that's changed. Alrighty, so we're going to go to save product next. And then from here, you'll be able to see what the front looks like, what the back looks like, and then what each color looks like. Obviously, you can add images to the back if it allows for it, if your provider allows for it. Then you want to list your product. We're going to skip the title and description for now. We're going to go right down to the pricing. And for pricing, I like to include every single size. And Printify will have preset prices for your article of clothing or whatever you're selling. So as you guys can see, the retail price that they have it set at is anywhere from 27 to 34, and then it gets increasingly larger depending on the size, or I guess anything above extra large is an increased price, which makes sense. It costs more the more material you use. It also shows the profit you'll make off each sweater or article of clothing that you're selling. So as you can see, each sweater, we're going to be making a 40% profit margin with around anywhere from 10 to 14 dollars generated. And it also shows like the shipping costs that go in as well as the production costs. Now you can alter the profit margin. So let's say you want a 50% profit margin. Well, then you can see the retail price goes up, or let's say you only want a 10% profit margin and the retail price goes down. Alrighty, the next thing we're going to go back to is our title. And here we just want to grab as many keywords as we can that relate to our product. So we have a Canadian Halloween sweater, which is what we're going to start out with first. And I'm going to look up Halloween sweater and see what keywords other people are using that's ranking really high. Now, do keep in mind that when you go and click on any sweater, so for example, we're going to click on this one, make sure it is not an ad, because if it's an ad, that means they paid for that spot and they aren't ranking organically. So I'm just going to grab all of their keywords, but what I'm going to do is actually bring them into ChatGPT, and then I'm going to find another listing and once again paste those keywords into ChatGPT, and I'll find just one more and I'll paste that into ChatGPT. Then I'll ask ChatGPT, can you give me 7 long tail and short tail keywords based on the keywords above? And ChatGPT will give us some good keywords that we can use to organically rank. And then here we would have our keywords. I just did a bit more ChatGPT engineering, and we could go over to Printify and paste those keywords in. Now, do keep in mind that this isn't 100% foolproof. As you can see, embroidered ghost sweatshirt for a woman would not be a good keyword because our shirt is just not embroidered. However, a fall sweatshirt would be perfect. Vintage Halloween sweater, perfect. I'm going to remove Halloween Town sweatshirt. Skeleton, I'm going to remove that as well. Coffee cup sweatshirt, we can remove that. Ghost sweatshirt, we can keep that. Halloween sweatshirt. And bam, I think our title is perfect. The next thing we're going to do is get a description. And the best way I found to get your descriptions is literally going to a competitor's description on their product. So I just clicked on this product right here and I went to their description and I just copied the entire description. And this is because the descriptions on Etsy work a lot different than descriptions just on any other website. So it's better to follow what other people are doing, and clearly it's working considering how many sales this business has gotten already. But we don't want a carbon copy, so we're going to copy and go to ChatGPT, and then from there I'm going to paste it in and I'm going to ask, can you slightly change this description with different words and also add in keywords for Halloween sweaters? And I entered that prompt in, and then as you can see, this is what we got after. So it looks pretty similar, but it changed up some words, which is what we were going for. Now I can go back over to Printify and paste it above the already displayed description, which was given by our provider, and I'm going to paste it above that. However, do keep in mind there are going to be things that you're going to have to change. So for example, explore a range of Halloween sweaters and more. Well, ChatGPT didn't switch out their shop name for ours, so I'm going to change it to our shop name, which I believe was the Kingdom Canada or Canada Kingdom, something like that. Some other things I'll probably have to change is how long the processing time and the shipping time is. Obviously, you can check all of this with your provider to make sure the shipping time is accurate. However, one thing I will say is that if your shipping time is, let's say, 2 to 5 days, I'd recommend you put down 2 to 7 days just in case orders get delayed or whatever. It's good to have a couple days of backup so people don't send in bad reviews. Alrighty, next thing we want to do is adjust the publishing settings. So for product visibility, I'm going to do hide in store, and this creates a buffer so that you can edit any last minute changes before your product actually goes public. Now, variant visibility, this is going to differ depending on what you kind of want for your product. So the safer bet is to have show in stock variants as available and out of stock variants as sold out. This way, if someone tries to order a black shirt, but you're sold out of black shirts at the moment, they can't order it. If you do this option, if you're out of black shirts, people are still allowed to order the product. The only reason this one kind of gets sketchy is that if someone orders a black shirt and your printing provider is out of black shirts, it might take way longer to get that shirt shipped to the customer, and they're going to be upset if the shipping time was supposed to be 2 to 7 days and it ended up taking like 3 weeks. We're going to select the middle option for now, but keep in mind you can always adjust this in the future. And then we're going to go to publish. Now, a cool option I want to show you guys is by going to the store settings on Printify and then going to preferences and then going and selecting this option right here, which is enable order routing. You can read up on what order routing is, but essentially what it is when you're out of a product on your printing service provider, it will route you to a different different provider that has that similar product. The reason some people don't enjoy order routing is that, let's say I'm out of black sweaters with my current provider and then it routes to a different provider, but that different provider sucks, like the quality of their sweaters are garbage. Well, that customer is going to be getting a garbage quality sweater, and it's not going to have consistency across the products that you sell, which could lead to bad reviews. I'm pretty neutral on order routing. To be honest, I haven't used it much, but I've heard good and bad things about it, so it's really up to you to decide if you want to use it. All right, next thing to do is go back to your Etsy shop. Then you want to select on the shop manager and then go to your listings. I have one active draft from earlier, which was the BS one, and you can actually delete that, which I've just done. And now the only thing left on my account is that draft that we created on Printify. Now there isn't going to be a lot that you want to change, but one thing I do recommend adjusting or just adding to your photo reel is a size chart. And if you don't know what I mean, I'll just go to this example right here. As you can see, the size chart thoroughly explains that a size medium is 22 by 28, a size large is 24 by 29, etc. Yes, you could include that in your description, but let's be real, most people aren't reading descriptions, they're just looking at the photos. So if they see a size chart in the photos, that's where they're going to be getting their information from. So I do recommend creating some type of size chart. You can do that within Canva pretty easily. This graphics, nothing special at all. There's a whole bunch of other examples if you just look through other stores on Etsy. Now for our photos, we're actually going to remove all of these photos just because they don't look that good. They're not going to get clicked on if you just have a plain white photo. And instead, we're going to add our mock photos. So as you can see, we have our mock photo right here, and then you'd add in like your size chart and whatever other mock photos that you have. Once again, you can make all the same changes that you could in Printify. We're not going to touch any of that. What's important is the core details of your item. You want to make sure it's selected as a physical item. You want to make sure when it says who made it, another company or person made it, and then what is it? It's a finished product. And then when it was made, it's made to order. And then you can add in your production partners here, and you can do this by selecting your production partners. As you can see, we don't have a production partner currently listed, so that's going to be something we're going to have to add. So you can do this by going to settings and then production partners. As you can see, settings right here, production partners, and then we'll select add a new production partner. Now in order to find your production partner, as you can see, ours is Duplium, which is shown right here. So we can add that into our production partner bar. A quick Google search of the location of Duplium shows up, so we can just copy that. And then it asks about your production partner. Keep this as simple as possible. So something as simple as our production partner helps print our designs onto clothes. Then it asks about the partnership. You really don't have to answer these honestly, but I will because why not? Then I'll select save partner. Also, make sure your location is formatted in this way because the earlier address that I had pasted in did not work. So make sure it's formatted in a way that is your city, state, or province, and then your country. And we are going to select save partner. And now when we go back to the original page and select production partners, you can see that we have Duplium as a production partner, and we're going to select done here. And now it's added to this product. Alrighty, so next we have to add in our tags. And what you can do is just scroll to the top and we'll just copy our title, which is already tagged, and we can paste that into our tags. Now keep in mind it's going to state that they need to be between 1 and 20 characters. You can break these up like so. And I have 5 left, and I definitely recommend just using all of your tags because why not? Now that we have added our tags, we are good to go past materials and we can go to the delivery section. So on delivery, your service provider will already put the delivery time. However, you can change it if you choose to do so. I recommend not changing it, or what you can do is, as you can see, Duplium has it at 1 to 7 days. You can adjust it to maybe 1 to 8 or 1 to 9. This is just a marketing technique because let's say a product is supposed to come in from 1 to 9 days and it comes in on the 2nd day. Well, people are going to be very happy because they're going to think it came in way earlier, even though you just set it to a later date. It's about setting their expectations lower and then they receive perceive something higher and it makes them even more happy, which will lead to better reviews. However, I'm just going to keep this at 1 to 7 for the sake of this tutorial. Next thing, and this is massive in my opinion, is changing that policy, removing this that buyers are allowed to return anything or exchange it for other goods. Create your new policy and make sure returns and exchanges are both turned off. Save and apply. This is going to save you a massive headache. You don't understand in e-commerce how many people will try and return products, especially holiday type of products. They will literally buy the product on Etsy, wear it for Halloween, and then return it and say, oh, it wasn't good, I didn't like it, even though they already got their use out of it. Save yourself the headache. Obviously, if a buyer does have a real issue, they still can contact you, and if they have a legitimate issue, you can offer them a refund outside of this policy, but make sure your policy is set to no refunds, no exchanges. It will save you a massive headache. And the last thing you want to do, or I guess second last, you can feature the listing. If it's your best product in your opinion, you can feature it at the top of your shop's homepage. We're not going to be checking that option on, but it is always an option if you choose to do so. But the last option is going to be the renewal options. And essentially what this is if your product is going to renew. If you don't have a lot of products, you can just set it to manual, and then on the 13th of January 2024, you're going to have to renew your product. However, if you have a ton of products on your store, it's probably better off you set it to automatic. I'm just going to keep it at manual, and then we're going to go and select publish with changes. Now, do keep in mind that every time you publish a new listing, you're going to have to pay a 20-cent fee. And although I'm not planning on selling any product from this listing today, I will spend that 20 cents. So please do hit that subscribe button and the like button. Now you can see we have our listing and it is public. The best part is Printify is going to deal with literally everything. All you have to deal with is coming up with new designs that you can sell on your store, while Printify does everything on the back end. Now what I like to do before I'm completely finished with a listing is going to the gear icon and then going to view on Etsy and just looking at everything. If everything looks correctly, like looking at the description, as well as the delivery, the return policies. And yeah, I think that concludes the ultimate guide on how to print on demand using Printify and Etsy. If you like this video, subscribe. Have yourselves a fantastic day. See ya in the next one.